Hello everyone and welcome back to the Genesis Designs bench. I know it's been a little while, but I'm here today with a quick roundup of a few things I've purchased over the last several weeks and a bit of a inbox on the Zvezda SU-57, which is a bit of a beast. So without further ado, let's smash into this. So I got a couple of books to look at and a couple of smaller bits that I've picked up recently. First then we'll look at this quickly. This is from Furball Aero Design Decals. Now this is a company that I do really like their products. They do some really useful sort of generic sets, of which this is one. And they do lovely interior sort of instrument panel decal sheets for various subjects, which are absolutely great as well. And this is a 1/48 set of modern US Navy fighter squadron aircrew patches, which you might think is a bit of an obscure theme, but in fact, you know, when if you ever do an in-flight aircraft, you want to have figures standing next to your aircraft. Aircrew do like to bedeck themselves in patches, and even if they don't have patches on their uniforms, they'll quite often have them on their helmets. So this is very, very welcome, because however good you are with a paintbrush, this kind of thing is kind of hard to do. I'll bring you up a little closer just for a second. You can see the sort of detail we're looking at here. There's no extra information offered. I'm not a US Navy aircrew patch expert by any means, and I would recognise these simply by the pictures, but they are very, very, very well printed. Really precise, crisp, clean printing. Absolutely lovely. Useful for all manner of things. Use them on your stands, use them on your aircrew, your helmets, what have you. This little set was $7.99, so not particularly expensive really, and obviously there's enough there for about 6 standard lifetimes, so that's quite handy. So that was the first thing, the Furball patches. Second one, I seen these quite a long time ago and never did order any because I felt like they were a bit expensive, but Maketar or Maketar, I don't really know what the right way to say that is, do these mask sets. They do normal mask sets. I've got one here, which is a US National Insignia set, and they do various marking sets for specific aircraft, but this set, and I'm fairly sure this is not going to come up on camera, but it's nice for you to see what you get here. 3 pretty much A5 size sheets of mask, and what you can't see, I'll get the light just right, maybe you can just about make out, these are all cut. This is all spirals, circles, oblongs, squares, triangles, cut like this, getting ever bigger. This one is various thicknesses of straight lines, curves, circles and squares. That's square edged squares. And then this one has got rounded corner squares and all sorts of triangle shapes in it. And the whole point of this set, it's a diagram of the various things you get there, is it provides a set of generic shapes of all sorts of sizes and thicknesses to help you mask canopies without having to cut too much out yourself. Obviously it's not going, the usefulness of this won't be restricted just to canopies, but anything that you need fine cut lines of tape for, it's going to be in there, because you've got a good half a sheet of just straight lines of various thicknesses down to about 1/2 mil, which is real nice. Not the cheapest thing, as I say, I didn't buy any of these sets for the longest time because of the price. This set was $15.99, so it's not nothing, but there is quite a lot there. And if you don't own a silhouette cutter, it's possibly quite a helpful purchase, more for the circles and squares than for the straight lines, in fairness. But yeah, nice little set that, and I do think I might well pop back and get some of the other generic sets to go with that. So onto a couple of books, and firstly, and honestly somewhat pointlessly, because I think this has sold out for the second time, this exact book, I should have got him to sign it, shouldn't I? This is the last of the first run. It was the very last one. This is Spencer Pollard's Tornado GR4 book for the Italeri 132nd kit. This would cost you 25 quid if you could get one with postage. We've got some full-size fots in the back there, and then a very detailed, in-depth, beautifully photographed and printed, and nicely laid out as well, it has to be said, step-by-step build that Spencer did of the Italeri kit. Now, as I say, this is fully sold out, I believe, for the second time now, so you could say it's a bit pointless me even showing you this because you can't get one. Well, that's true, but what you can do is look at this and you can see for yourself what you're going to get. I believe the next book he's putting out is going to be an F104, I think, could be wrong, and £25 isn't the cheapest for something like this. Essentially a bookazine, but you can see the quality of it here. You can see roughly what you're going to get if you were to order from a future series. So hopefully this might persuade you that it's a punt worth taking. And Spencer does have a lovely writing style. There's lots of information there. Trials and tribulations with fit, how he's got about solving problems, adding detail, you name it, it's all in here. Very, very good effort, and I'm glad I purchased it actually, and yes, I did pay for it. For me, it's a little bit of a helping hand on the 48 scale Tornado that I'm still banging my head against in the background here. Second book from my favourite publishing house, Wing Leader Photo Archive number 7. This is on the short Stirling. Real left field choice here. I mean, they've gone Spitfire, Hurricane, ME109, Lancaster, Stirling. Okay. Little bit of an odd choice, but a very, very welcome one from my point of view, because I've always had a strange regard for this thing. It's a very ungainly aircraft. It suffers from none of the charm or grace of the Lancaster or even the Wellington, but you gotta love it anyway. It's definitely shades of a Sunderland in its shape, which helps for me. I'm a big fan of flying boats, but a real interesting looking aircraft, and very, very underrepresented generally, both in publication form and model form, in my opinion. But yeah, in the usual style for these books. As you know, I'm a big fan of these. I'm not going to mince my words on that. They're absolutely brilliant, really well put together. Lots of just brilliant photos, and very well reproduced for the most part as well. I mean, look how clear that is. And it's just an absolute goldmine for the modeller. Weathering patterns, damage patterns, shots from the factory. There's shots of markings. I mean, look at the rippling on this. It's wonderful stuff. And as I say, with the Stirling being such a relatively obscure subject, finding images like these isn't as easy as it is for something like a Spitfire. You know, you Google a Spitfire, you're going to get pretty much everything you want. Not really the case for the Sunderland. So this kind of thing's really welcome. Yeah, absolutely love it. Really happy with this one. Usual $19.99, so pretty decent price for what you're getting, I think. There's 80 pages in all. Again, glossy, well produced, good quality. Whether you like the Stirling or not, it's still a really nice little booklet, I think. So that's that. Alright then, so let's get on to the main event, which is the tiny Zvezda 148 SU-57. Hannah's referred to it as the Fraser or Felon. Zvezda don't give you a code name here. It's just the SU-57. So this is the Russian 5th generation stealth fighter. I think there's several of them made now. Then I don't think they're fully in service yet. Got some pretty awesome camouflage schemes on them already. And it is generally a very cool looking aeroplane. Apparently there are 249 parts in the box, so you should start to get an impression straight away of what you're getting here with this kit. It isn't all singing, all dancing modern super kit by any means. So here we go, quick look through the sprues. This one is all about weapons. So you've got an internal weapons bay on this aircraft. The instructions offer you the choice of having this weapons bay open with armament fitted, or if you're using wing pylon mounted stores, this is closed up. I don't know if you can do both realistically or not. So this is the internal armament, which is 6 of these rockets mounted in this internal bomb bay. Here we've got these massive missiles, which I think must be some sort of cruise missile, which look super cool. Some great big tanks, fuel tanks, exhausts, an engine intake detail, which is really adequate actually. I mean, it's not going to win any prizes, but it's pretty decent. And your pylons, and you've also got a pilot figure. So by default you get 2, because you've got 2 of these sprues. So you've got 2 pilot figures, which are very nicely done actually. If I just give you a quick look at this chap. Very nicely done indeed. All of this is nice, real nice crisp, smooth moulding, smooth surface finish, and the scribing's really fine, really delicate. It's very Zvezda. Easy for you to say. This sprue then has got your control surfaces on it, of which there are many. It's got weird movable flaps on the front of the intakes. It's got tailerons, it's got rudderons, rudderators, whatever. All of the surfaces move. Undercarriage doors, bit of undercarriage bay detail there. You do get a ladder with this as well, which is a nice touch, although mine has been broken. Very, very stocky undercarriage legs there. And an instrument panel which is devoid of any detail really. And the last sprue is this one, and here you've got your intakes clearly, which also have main undercarriage bay details on the outside of them. Nose leg, that's a closed door for the big weapons bay, and I say most of this is about the intakes, and then you've got your cockpit parts, which again you can see very simplified indeed. So there's only 249 parts, and there's a stack of weapons, so you can see that the main model is quite simple, and deliberately so I believe. And then finally the model is made out of 2 pieces, a top and a bottom. Here you can see the extent of what would be this weapons bay. Massive, goes right the length of the fuselage between the engines. Note the nose wheel bay is devoid of detail as well. But one massive moulding, it's a remarkable bit of moulding really. And then this is the top half. Nothing much you can say about it, it's all pretty decent, but what I would say is this piece in particular, the bottom isn't too bad, in fact it's pretty decent, but this top surface is very rough moulding. The scribing is nice, but the moulding, the surface of the moulding is really quite rough, so that is going to need either sanding to get rid of it, or it's going to need some primer putting on and then that sanding back to get rid of that, because it's a little bit too textured for comfort, I think. And you put these two together, I mean, even though that's still got some sprue stubs on it, the fit is extremely decent straight away. Does anyone think this looks like Firefox? It really reminds me of Firefox, the original Firefox from the Clint Eastwood movies back in the day. So yeah, 2 pieces, like a cross between Firefox and a Blackbird. But look at the size of it. I mean, if I plonk that on the desk and get the naughty Tonka, you could park it on the top, look. This thing is immense. Yeah, craziness. Anywho, this kit has been sent to me by Jonathan from the Interesting Modelling Company on Facebook, but it's come from the Hobby Company, and it's one of the builds. I've done a few now, some of which you'll have seen. It's for the Hobby Company, and as such I'm supposed to build them absolutely bone stock out of the box because they use them for promotional purposes, take them to shows and what have you. So that's the intent with this. It will be built up as it comes. There you go, monster. Canopy. It's very simple, it's a single seater, there's nothing complex about it, but that is absolutely gorgeous. Zvezda are really nailing it these days with their transparencies, they're absolutely lovely. Put you back in there, don't want scratches on that. I'll do it in a minute. I'll make the video 5 minutes longer while I fumble around with that. Instructions then. Zvezda standard style paper A4 booklet. Version 1, version 2, so you can build it closed up in the flight position, or you can build it with the canopy open, the ladder fitted, etc, etc. The stand is not included in the kit. It's available separately, and I'll give you a shout out for the number for that when I get to it in a minute. So you get your sprue diagrams, then your instruction sequence, all very logical, well laid out, easy to understand, and you can easily see just how simple of a build this is. There's the 6 rockets for the internal weapons bay. You can have the weapons bay doors open as shown there. So your undercarriage is being built along the side. And this is option 1. So option 1 has the wing pylon mounted hardware and armament, and option 2 is the internal weapons bay. So there's option 1, you have to drill the holes for the pylons in the wings before you put them together. Stand is available separately as catalogue number 7235. If you want to do it in flight with a stand, you can get the Zvezda stand to do it with. And then this here is a stencil placement diagram. Quite a few stencils, annoyingly. You get markings in the kit for several aircraft, but only 2 paint schemes. So you get this sort of grey on grey digital camo, aircraft 511 or aircraft 01, quite drab, and this much nicer grey over pale blue, and clearly this is the one I shall do. This is aircraft 509, the 8th prototype. Very nice looking. I've been on Google, got some images up of this, and it is a very good looking aeroplane, I have to say. Decal sheet then, the final part of this particular section. Get 2 sheets. This is the main markings and stencils. Now you can straight away see there's lots of weirdness going on here that you wouldn't expect, because you've got decals for grills and stuff, surface details, which is actually a nice feature. I actually quite like this. I know some people aren't really keen on this sort of thing, but I think it can be quite effective when it's done nicely. So yeah, you've got your squadron markings, and then a bunch of stencils, and then these airframe details. There's also a pretty decent set of cockpit decals there as well. And then this bigger sheet is entirely devoted pretty much to walkways. As you can see in the reflection, they are one-piece decals, so slightly easier to place than they would be if it were a large square like that was open. But in my experience, Zvezda decals are really thin. They're very, very good decals, but they can be quite difficult to use because they are very thin and quite stretchy. So you're going to have to be very careful putting these on that you don't sort of get them distorted and wrinkled up, because it'll be quite easy to do that. So there's the decal sheet. Now, I'm quite happy that I can, or I am capable, shall I say, of masking this scheme. It's not something that really worries me, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it wouldn't take me 93 hours to do it. It would take me a long time. So imagine my joy when browsing Hannants the other day, and I saw this. It's a camouflage paint mask set specifically for the Zvezda SU-57 and specifically for aircraft 509. So yeah, I totally went out and bought one. So this is £9.99, and in it you basically get a big sheet of, this is the vinyl, sort of Artall style semi-transparent vinyl mask, cut out already in all the shapes for this digital, and it's got all the sort of separate outline pieces as well. So it's going to reduce the time it takes to mask this kit from 93 hours to about 9 minutes, and that's something I'm quite happy about. Obviously you can go either way. You could paint the whole thing pale blue and then use the masks this way around and put the darker grey in, or you could do it the other way around if you insist. You can do it either way because you get both sides of the mask. Very welcome addition, and these sets are available for the other versions as well. And then the last thing, and here I'm going against the brief. As I say, these are supposed to be out of the box builds, but I want to try these, so I'm going to. The Quinta interior decal set, and I've never seen these before today when they arrived. I mean, I've seen them online and I've seen pictures where people have used them, but I've not actually seen them in the flesh, as it were. So you get a nice colour, a little fold out brochure in there which has got a nice colour images showing where all the pieces go. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. And you also get a fairly substantial how-to sheet, an instruction list of how to use these things. And the decals themselves come in these two tiny packets, but they're actually really cool. I wasn't expecting, and I didn't think from the pictures I've seen, I didn't realise just how contoured they actually are, and I really hope this can. I note that they've got a gloss finish on them where all the displays are and what have you as well. They're really very cool. They do have a touch of the dottiness about them that the Eduard pre-printed etch also has, and again I think in common with Eduard pre-coloured etch, the colours are going to be a bit queer, and you may have to mix paint to match them. But that's the instrument and side panels, and then this other sheet. Come on out. It's for the seat. So rather than messing about trying to get photo etch seat belts to fit, here we have them in this, what I presume is some kind of resin or plastic that's effectively probably 3D printed onto a backing sheet. You can really pick up the relief on there and see how flexible it is. But on here we've got seat cushions, rudder pedals, straps, bits and pieces. So it's quite comprehensive, and with such a small cockpit tub, it really is just a seat and an instrument panel. These between them should do quite a nice job of dressing it up. And as I say, apologies to the hobby company, but I want to try them, so I shall. These also came from Hannants and cost £15.99 again, so they're not the cheapest thing in the world. I think an Eduard Zoom set is probably cheaper, but a lot of people don't like photo etch and aren't comfortable using it, so for those people I think these are probably going to be a godsend. They certainly seem to be very popular already, and the range is expanding exponentially of the subjects that they're covering. So we'll see how they perform in action shortly. I will clearly do a video of the build, but being such a simple build and relatively quick build, I think I'll condense everything into one video, which hopefully will be out fairly soon. I'm thinking within a fortnight I want this done, and the dastardly tornado will carry on in the background. So there it is, a great big honker of a kit. This is the Zvezda 148 SU-57. This is going to cost you around about 35 English pounds in the shops, so pretty decent price, I think you'll agree, for something of this size. So although it is simplified, or appears to be simplified in its nature, I think the cost does justify that. Any other manufacturer, something this size is going to cost at least double that, and I think a lot of manufacturers you'll probably be looking at closer to triple that. So as usual with Zvezda, pretty decent value for money on the face of it. It's a good package, it's all there, good decals, great transparencies. Usually the fit of a Zvezda kit is pretty damn decent as well, so I'm very much looking forward to cracking on with this. I think it's going to make a real impressive model when it's done. Should have great presence, and I would like to thank the hobby company for entrusting me with the build and getting it sent out to me. And I'll bring you the build soon, so until then, until I see you either with this build or with Revel Tonka Part 4, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.